The translation of specialized terms. In the translation of biblical terms referring to God, the ESV takes great care to convey the specific nuances of meaning of the original Hebrew and Greek terms. First, concerning terms that refer to God in the Old Testament, God, the maker of heaven and earth, introduced himself to the people of Israel with a special personal name, the consonants for which are YHWH. See Exodus chapter 3, verse 14 to 15. Scholars call this the Tetragrammaton, a Greek term referring to the four Hebrew letters YHWH. The exact pronunciation of YHWH is uncertain because the Jewish people consider the personal name of God to be so holy that it should never be spoken aloud. Instead of reading the word YHWH, they would normally read the Hebrew word Adonai, Lord. And the ancient translations into Greek, Syriac, and Aramaic also follow this practice. When the vowels of the word Adonai are placed with the consonants of YHWH, this results in the familiar word Jehovah that was used in some earlier English Bible translations. As is common among English translations today, the ESV usually renders the personal name of God, YHWH, with the word Lord printed in small capitals. An exception to this is when the Hebrew word Adonai appears together with YHWH, in which case the two words are rendered together as the Lord in lowercase, God in small capitals. In contrast to the personal name for God, YHWH, the more general name for God in Old Testament Hebrew is Elohim, and its related forms of El or Eloah, all of which are normally translated God in lowercase letters. The use of these different ways to translate the Hebrew words for God is especially beneficial to the English reader, enabling the reader to see and understand the different ways that the personal name and the general name for God are both used to refer to the one true God of the Old Testament. Second, in the New Testament, the Greek word Christus has been translated consistently as Christ, although the term originally meant anointed. Among Jews in New Testament times, the term came to designate the Messiah, the great Savior that God had promised to raise up. In other New Testament contexts, however, especially among Gentiles, Christus, Christ, was on its way to becoming a proper name. It is important, therefore, to keep the context in mind in understanding the various ways that Christus, Christ, is used in the New Testament. At the same time, in accord with its essentially literal translation philosophy, the ESV has retained consistency and concordance in the translation of Christ throughout the New Testament. Third, a particular difficulty is presented when words in biblical Hebrew and Greek refer to ancient practices and institutions that do not correspond directly to those in the modern world. Such is the case in the translation of Ibed, Hebrew, and doulos, Greek, terms which are often rendered slave. These terms, however, actually cover a range of relationships that require a range of renderings, either slave, bondservant, or servant, depending on the context. Further, the word slave currently carries associations with the often brutal and dehumanizing institution of slavery in 19th century America. For this reason, the ESV translation of the words ibed and doulos has been undertaken with particular attention to their meaning in each specific context. Thus, in Old Testament times, one might enter slavery either voluntarily, e.g., to escape poverty or to pay off a debt, or involuntarily, e.g., by birth, by being captured in battle, or by judicial sentence. Protection for all in servitude in ancient Israel was provided by the Mosaic Law. In New Testament times, a doulos is often best described as a bond servant, that is, as someone bound to serve his master for a specific, usually lengthy period of time, but also as someone who might nevertheless own property, achieve social advancement, and even be released or purchase his freedom. The ESV usage thus seeks to express the nuance of meaning in each context. Where absolute ownership by a master is in view, as in Romans 6, slave is used. Where a more limited form of servitude is in view, bond servant is used, as in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 21 to 24, where the context indicates a wide range of freedom, as in John chapter 4 verse 51. Servant is preferred. Footnotes are generally provided to identify the Hebrew or Greek and the range of meaning that these terms may carry in each case. Fourth, it is sometimes suggested that the Bible translations should capitalize pronouns referring to deity. It has seemed best not to capitalize deity pronouns in the ESV, however, for the following reasons. First, there is nothing in the original Hebrew and Greek manuscripts that corresponds to such capitalization. Second, the practice of capitalizing deity pronouns in English Bible translations is a recent innovation which began only in the mid-20th century. And third, such capitalization is absent from the King James Version Bible and the whole stream of Bible translations that the ESV seeks to carry forward. A fifth specialized term, the word behold, usually has been retained as the most common translation for the Hebrew word hene and the Greek word idu. Both of these words mean something like pay careful attention to what follows. This is important. Other than the word behold, there is no single word in English that fits well in most contexts. Although look and see and listen would be workable in some contexts, in many others these words lack sufficient weight and dignity. Given the principles of essentially literal translation, it is important not to leave hene and idu completely untranslated and so to lose the intended emphasis in the original languages. The older and more formal word behold has usually been retained, therefore, as the best available option for conveying the original sense of meaning.